Today we are going to be building the perfect MMA fighter. We are going to be diving into the attributes, and we're going to be diving deep into them too. Like, I'm talking about not just striking, boxing, kickboxing, all of those things. We're going to be diving into like reach and all that too. We are going to be making one of the most in-depth videos on how to build the perfect fighter. We're going to be taking one attribute, we're going to be taking one option and applying that to one fighter to build the best fighter that we could possibly build. The reason that I used Alexander Volkanovski is I believe him to be the greatest fighter of all time, but shockingly, we only use Alexander Volkanovski for a couple options. We're going to be getting into that in just a second. Before we do, though, I do want to say hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. Let's get into the first category, that being takedowns. For takedowns, I had to go with the Khabib Nurmagomedov, man, and it's important to note that I am talking about all of these fighters in their primes. Takedowns. Khabib Nurmagomedov. He had relentless chain wrestling, mixed up the takedown options. He can take you down from anywhere. He can enter from anywhere in the octagon, whether that being at the center, whether that being at the fence. Any elite grappler, wrestler, sambo, jiu-jitsu, no matter what it was, nobody could stop him from doing what he wants. And then, of course, he has the unseen and unique suffocating style that just Khabib Nurmagomedov had. People looked like they suffered when Khabib Nurmagomedov was taking them down. Conor McGregor was the one who defended it best, and no matter what, when Khabib is on you, when you are getting taken down, when he has a hold of you, you're going to the ground eventually, no matter how good your takedowns are. So my takedown option is going to be from Khabib Nurmagomedov. Let's talk about takedown defense, though. There were a few contenders over here, to be honest with you, and I'd love to know what you guys think about all of these, by the way, in the comments, because I don't know if everyone will agree with me on this. Brad Tavares. How often do you see this guy get taken down? And I understand the competition level could be better when we're talking about certain fighters, right? But in general, he rarely gets taken down. He has excellent sprawls and incredible balance. You ever see people get a hold of this guy? He's just bouncing on one leg, still striking back at you. Like, I don't know what the hell is so special about Brad Tavares, but people cannot get this guy to the ground. He'll be standing on one leg. He'll be just, you enter, all of a sudden it's the quickest sprawl that you've ever seen. This dude probably has the best takedown defense in the entirety of the UFC. So for takedown defense, I gotta give it to Brad Tavares, guys. Let's talk about grappling, though. Grappling in general. BJJ. Who are we gonna pick? There were a few contenders. And guys, I almost chose Charles Oliveira. I almost chose Damian Maia. But I do think there was one guy that stood out among the rest, although it still is very close. Jacare Souza. I know I'm going to hear about this one in the comment section. I know I am, but this was my pick. He is a multiple-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion. He looks very strong when he applies all of that to MMA. He is like not quite a Khabib level, like suffocating type fighter, but man, when he's on top of you, when he's working his grappling, it just looks like people almost don't belong in the octagon with him. Top and bottom work, and then like Khabib, the opponents oftentimes seem hopeless when we are talking about Jacare and his suffocating style of BJJ. Very methodical with what he does. He applies the art of jiu-jitsu very well into MMA. But instead of grappling, let's talk a little bit about wrestling. This is also one that I had a difficult time pinning down to one fighter. The wrestling, we are going to be choosing Jon Jones. I have a problem making this video. I had a problem structuring all of this out, guys, because I don't want to include any PED cheats, but at the same time, we're building the perfect fighter. And Jon Jones in his prime, yeah, he was on something. You could argue that for a lot of old school fighters. They probably were onto something. So I'm going to ignore the PEDs for this one. The wrestling game is going to be with Jon Jones. He has an NCAA background. He is freakishly strong. All of his opponents will say that. He is very athletic. The dude feels like, I who was he doing that to? Was it Daniel Cormier? Where it's like he's holding him down with just one arm. You know, he is insanely strong. The wrestling technique is there. And he, of course, out-wrestles accomplished wrestlers. Taking down Chael Sonnen. Taking down Daniel Cormier. Beating fighters at their own game. Jon Jones just did it better. He's big. He's strong. He's technical. The wrestling in general has to go with Jon Jones. It was a little tough to choose that one, though, because I did want to go with, like, perhaps some fighters that are sambo heavy. Khamzat Chimaev. But the reason I didn't end up choosing Khamzat Chimaev for any of this is because I don't know if I wanted to include, like, oh, I don't know, but he gasses when he wrestles. You know, I didn't really know what to think, so I ended up just picking Jon Jones for that one, and it still goes, like, it still has the same application to other categories, right? Let's talk about ground and pound, though. Like I said, guys, we're diving deep into this build. Ground and pound. Who has the best ground and pound in the UFC? We are going again with Khabib Nurmagomedov. He breaks opponents. He is constantly posturing. He is constantly having wrist traps. He is constantly pressuring. When you're on the ground with Khabib, he is transitioning. He is beating you up from anywhere, and he does not stop throwing punches. Whether he's breaking through your guard, whether he's breaking your face, whether he's attacking the body, the dude is relentless with his ground and pound. There were a few fighters I wanted to choose, man. There were a few fighters that have great ground and pound and are very, very difficult to deal with on the ground, but nobody made people suffer like Khabib Nurmagomedov made people suffer. So he is my choice for ground and pound. But let's talk about striking. I know I said we're going to break everything down as much as we can, but for the striking, it encapsulates kickboxing. I'm not going to separate striking and kickboxing, so we're thinking about just your stand-up game in general. For the striking, there are a lot of great fighters to choose from, but I ended up choosing Conor McGregor. Again, we're talking about prime Conor McGregor. He has unmatched timing and precision. The left hand is ridiculous. He is creative and he can throw anything, whether he wants to box, whether he wants to have a long stance karate kick battle, or just really throwing anything in general. Conor McGregor can do it. And his distance control and movement are on another level. This dude was an animal in his prime. He is one of the best strikers in the UFC, and he might just be the best striker in the UFC. Conor McGregor is a force to be reckoned with on the feet in the striking department. Now let's talk about kicks. Just kicks in general. How powerful they are. Just anything to do with kicking, okay? This one's tough. It was between this fighter and Yair Rodriguez. I almost chose Jose Aldo too, but Jose Aldo was more of a leg kick specialist. We're going to go with Edson Barboza. He is, with all of his kicks, technically perfect. He has some of the most violent highlights you will ever see. He will throw everything into every kick possible. Prime Edson Barboza, when he was throwing those kicks, it's like he's trying to hey, how many, I'm with this kick that I'm throwing right now, I'm going to try and snap my own leg on your shin. That's how hard he was throwing kicks. And every single shot, no matter where it was going, no matter what he was throwing, whether it was a spin kick, whether it was a spin kick to the body, whether it's a leg kick, calf kick, head kick, don't care. He puts absolutely everything into every shot. He throws every kick possible. He has some of the best kicking highlights you will ever see. Think about fights like Dan Hooker. Think about, of course, was it Terry Adam? Am I remembering that correctly? Regardless, he has some of the most devastating kicks in the entirety of the UFC. Edson Barboza is our kicking specialist. Let's talk about pure boxing, though. Just the hands. And this is where I thought it was a little bit difficult because I just chose striking. And I feel like the kicks kind of take away from Conor McGregor's striking, but I wanted to break it down as much as we could. For boxing, pure boxer, Petr Yan. This was an easy decision for me. Not Dustin Poirier, don't care. Not Max Holloway, he gets hit too much. Petr Yan. The fundamentals for Petr Yan, they are perfect. He uses counters perfectly. He uses range perfectly. He blends his defense and pressure at the same time. The dude's hands are up and he's slipping just out of the way. Using rolls, just head slips in general. He is barely getting out of the way and he is still pressuring you at the same time. How many people in the UFC do you see are great at pressuring, but they still get hit? His hands are up. He's slipping. He rarely gets hit clean. Petr Yan blends the defense and the pressure perfectly. He uses perfect technique, perfect fundamentals. He uses his range and counters perfectly and just boxing combinations in general. I believe Petr Yan to be the best boxer in the UFC, and it was a no-brainer for me when I wanted to choose what fighter to have the boxing for this perfect fighter. Let's talk about clinch work. Let's talk about on-the-fence Muay Thai. When you're up in the clinch, what fighter are we choosing from? This one was difficult as well, man. This one was difficult, but there is no fighter that is as dangerous as Alex Pereira in the clinch, in my opinion. He has devastating short-range power, uses both of his height and his frame perfectly, and he mixes up the shots and the placement of the shots. No matter where you are on that cage, he's going to be throwing knees from everywhere. The knee's going to land on different spots. He's going to throw body shots. He's going to rip you. And the power is real. These guys crumble under Alex Pereira. Out of everybody in the UFC, guys, who would you not want to be up in defense against? It might be Alex Pereira. I can't imagine how much it hurts eating shots from him, okay? Alex Pereira is going to be where we take the clinch work from. But now, let's talk about octagon control. The guy who just has the aura in the middle of the cage. A guy who never really gives fighters room to breathe. He's always dictating what is going on with the fight. This one was also a no-brainer for me, and it is going to be Jon Jones. He is a master of distance and angles. His hand and the eye pokes, I understand. He uses the eye pokes to his advantage as well. But his hands are always out there. He's always throwing the perfect angle. Where Jon Jones wants the fight to take place, that's where it's going to take place. If Jon Jones wants to stand in the center of the octagon, that's where he is. If he wants to back up, that's what he's doing. Everybody will consistently play into Jon Jones's game. He is also great at cutting off opponents no matter where they go. I'm here, and I'm at perfect range. He also uses that same pressure without overcommitting. When Jon Jones throws his shots, he typically makes them count. You never really see Jon Jones like winging shots around. He is perfect with the octagon control, and it was a no-brainer for me to choose Jon Jones when we are talking about octagon control. But let's continue on to the next category, guys. Let's talk about footwork. This one was, I don't want to say a no-brainer, but I had an idea with my head right away, and then I looked at some other fighters, and I was like, yeah, that's probably it. And it's a fighter that I really, really wanted to choose for striking. Maybe second place. Maybe. And it might have been Petr Yan along with that as well. Adesanya was up there too, but Adesanya we've seen get hit too much, and we've seen him have some snoozers, right? But we aren't talking about striking. This is second place for my striker, for my contender for striking. But we're talking about footwork. We are going to go with TJ Dillashaw. Not Dominic Cruz. We are going to go with TJ Dillashaw. He has always been dynamic and unpredictable. His movement was very difficult for people to get a hold of. Again, a lot of people compare him to Dominic Cruz. I don't. Dominic Cruz was fairly predictable. He was just ahead of his time. Chop him some leg kicks. Cut him off. TJ Dillashaw, you couldn't really do that with. He's always switching stances, throwing from different angles. He's constantly using his footwork to create openings. He is, and like I think I just kind of said that, but he integrates his footwork with his striking. He always has a purpose. He's not just moving. He's not just getting out of the way. He's not just feinting. The dude is always placing his body using switching his stances, and he's placing himself with the opportunity to not only defend himself, but to strike as well. His footwork is always fluid, aggressive, and calculated. He is one of the highest IQ fighters, in my opinion. TJ Dillashaw is amazing. Absolutely amazing with his footwork, and it was almost a no-brainer for me. Let's continue on over to the next part. Head movement. Who has the best head movement? Hint, I already spoke about him. We are going to go again with Petr Yan, okay? How many times do you see Petr Yan get hit clean? It rarely happens. He uses very, very subtle slips and rolls. Head movement. Like when you see Petr Yan fighting, his hands are up. They're in the perfect position. And he's just doing this. Rolling off the shots nicely. If people hit Petr Yan a lot of times, it's on the guard. A lot of times, it catches him on the shoulder. He just gets out of the way enough. And that's what the beauty of watching Petr Yan fight is. He also always maintains eye contact. He is very, very calm in there. He's always ready. No matter what his opponents are throwing, he's always laser focused, just keeping his composure. He's amazing at what he does. Petr Yan is one of my favorite fighters to watch. Again, like we talked about, the fundamentals are beyond perfect for him. Now, let's talk about reaction time. Out of all of the fighters, one stood out to me for reaction time. Somebody with fantastic counters. And again, you could go the Adesanya route with this one, but again, I still didn't want to go with his route Adesanya. Reaction time, we're circling back over to Conor McGregor. How many times have you seen this man land counters, combination counters, and just shots in general where you're like, oh my God, that was quick. His counter left is perfect. And it's not just a counter left. He has a billion shots that he could throw. It's like he sees things in slow motion sometimes, man. He is very speedy. He's very calm, just like we were talking about Petr Yan. He's always ready. He's using his footwork perfectly. And all of a sudden, boom, the shot's down the middle. He's so good at it. And he has an excellent ability to read people's bodies while they are in motion. Staying calm. How many times have you seen like the counter for Eddie Alvarez? Cowboy Cerrone. No matter who he's fighting, and he's taking on some fantastic opponents. That one... I'm sitting here and I'm going to say that one shot he landed against Dustin Poirier, even past his prime. I don't know if you guys know what shot I'm talking about. Just one of his perfect slips, kind of throwing the shot like this. His reaction time is so nice. His counters are so nice. Conor McGregor, like I was talking about Petr Yan, was a beauty to watch in his prime. Let's talk about distance management. Conor McGregor. Guys, tell me a different fighter for reaction time and distance management, okay? I didn't want to keep picking the same fighters over and over again, and I promise you, there is not a ton of repeats, and I don't know if we're going to talk about Conor McGregor again as we continue on, but I didn't want to be that guy. But I don't think there's a better guy at distance management. I don't, you know? Prime Conor McGregor is one of the greatest fighters of all time. He controls the range consistently to bait counters, and he makes you pay for doing so. The long stance and rear hand setup, it's always there. It's always ready to go. I know we can talk about Jon Jones, but Conor McGregor was so much more efficient with his distance management. Jon Jones was one of those fighters that uses his distance management perfectly in the sense where it's like, I'm here, I'm controlling the octagon, like we were talking about with octagon control. His presence is there. Conor McGregor uses his distance management perfectly, aggressively, uses the counters, and he is always just outside of different opponents' reach. I love what Conor McGregor did, and his distance management, like his timing, like his speed, counters, it was so good, man. Now let's talk about speed. Are we going to talk about Conor McGregor? No, we are not. We are going to be talking about Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. There were so many categories in this that I almost included Demetrius Johnson on. He is such a good fighter, but we'll get to those as we continue on, okay? He's just like, when we talk about Mighty Mouse fighting, sometimes watching him is like watching a fight in fast forward. It's like 1.5 times speed. Him versus Henry Cejudo, that was a fast fight. In my opinion, he is arguably one of the fastest fighters in history, if not the fastest fighter in history. He is always explosive and fast with any movement. No matter if it's striking, no matter if it's grappling, takedowns, all of a sudden, the dude is there in what he wants to do. All of a sudden, the armbar is there. All of a sudden, the hook is hitting your chin. Mighty Mouse was perfect with that. He blends the speed and precision perfectly. He's not just a fast fighter. He's not just a quick puncher. He knows what he wants to do, and he is very quick at doing so. Mighty Mouse, it might just be the fastest fighter in UFC history. Now let's talk about fight IQ. I almost put Mighty Mouse in there. Almost. What separated it was the quality of wins and who they used their fight IQ against. This is why I ended up choosing this fighter. I'm going to be picking Alexander Volkanovski. Prime Alexander Volkanovski, I believe to be the greatest fighter in the history of MMA. When you're watching this guy fight, it seems like he is always calculated. He thinks about every little movement that he's going to do. He doesn't just rush in there. Alexander Volkanovski is constantly adjusting mid-fight, always knowing exactly what to do, always remaining calm. He is always acting in the best way possible to any position that he's in. He has complete cage awareness. No matter what you're doing, no matter what position you're in, he knows exactly what to do, and he thinks about what he's doing, and you can tell that he's thinking. He's making calculations while he is fighting. He's always making the correct decisions to escape a bad position, to enter in some way, whether it's time to throw a leg kick. He does it perfectly. And of course, my last point over here, he is always thinking instead of reacting. How many fighters do you know are so good off of their reactions? And there's nothing wrong with like reacting, training your body to react properly to certain things. But with Alexander Volkanovski, like we can talk about Demetrius Johnson, you can tell that there are perfect calculations going on within that chaos in the octagon. He is always thinking instead of reacting. His mind is aware. I believe Alexander Volkanovski to have the best fight IQ in MMA history. Let's continue on to the next category. Let's talk about composure, okay? This one was a no-brainer for me. Who stays calm? Who stays the most calm in the entirety of MMA history? Gegard Mousasi does. This dude always has the same expression, and he is one of the most underrated fighters in UFC history. We just made a video talking about the most underappreciated fighters in the UFC. Mousasi was on there. This dude beat some of the best, and he looked half asleep doing so. Whether you're clocking him on the chin, I don't want to say whether you're beating him to death on the ground, because he doesn't get beat to death on the ground. He's such a good fighter. Whether it's a press conference, whether it's the pre-fight jitters walking out the octagon, he just has the same expression. It's like he couldn't be bothered to be there. And when he's fighting, he has no expression when you hit him. The dude's composure is unmatched. I believe that, truthfully. He is the most composed fighter we have ever seen, not only in UFC history, but MMA history. Stone cold, under pressure, no matter the moment. The dude has the same expression, has all the top talent experience. And the reason that I did mention that is because he keeps his composure against that top talent. It's not like he's just coming in, he's better than everybody. No matter who he's up against, he's just like half asleep. Oh yeah, time for another fight. That's what Gegard Mousasi is like. He keeps the exact same energy no matter what he's doing in the octagon, and he's always thinking, always staying on the game plan. He is able to think in the octagon like we were talking about Alexander Volkanovski. Composure is perfect for Gegard Mousasi. I would want his composure in life, period. Let's talk about adaptability during the fight. What fighter has the best adaptability? This one was tough because there were a lot of really great options. If you disagree with me on this one in the comment section, I'm with you. I get that, okay? I went with Charles Oliveira, okay? I thought this was the perfect way to put it, okay? With my first point. If plan A fails, plan B is violence. How true is that, though? Come on. That's pretty good. He comes in with the game plan, and of course, if it doesn't work out, all right, time to scrap. And he does a good job doing so, and he oftentimes comes out with the victory doing that. When you knock this guy down, how many times have you seen this in fights? Prime Charles Oliveira I'm talking about, of course. He comes back harder after failing. You knock this guy down. You're about to knock him out. Think the Michael Chandler fight. Think about Justin Gaethje. All of a sudden, this dude's on the ground. You look like you're about to beat him up. He just comes back harder. He's like, all right, violence time. He always adapts to his opponents without breaking. And like, again, I know you're going to comment down below and talk about, well, what about pre-prime Charles Oliveira? I'm talking about these fighters in their prime. No matter what you do, no matter what bad position you're in, this dude will adapt and he will beat you. He will always find a way to win in any position. The dude turns it up. I think adaptability does belong to Charles Oliveira. Let's continue on to the next category, confidence. I separated confidence and composure because there's a little bit of a difference between them, enough where I thought that it was appropriate to make it a separate category, okay? We're circling back over to Conor McGregor. How could you not? He shined under the greatest pressure, under the brightest lights, accomplishing a 2-belt win division. Like, he is going for a second belt, moving up a division, taking on an absolute animal in Andy Alvarez. After all of the crap talk that he just threw at Jose Aldo's way, with all of the doubters, with him having to back up what he's saying, he stayed not only calm, but he shined under all of that pressure. He walked into fights like they were over. He's making, but I use that as a point too. I was about to say that. Bold and accurate predictions. I'm going to knock this guy out in round 1 and I'm going to do it this way. And he did it a lot of times. It's incredible. He always used his confidence as a weapon as well, with the trash talk getting into people's heads. Think Jose Aldo. And then you could see him practicing like exactly what his opponents are going to do too. Confidence is absolutely going to Conor McGregor. The way that he walked into fights as if they were already over, prime Conor McGregor is not a guy that I would want to go up against into the octagon. Let's continue on though to trash talk, okay? I included trash talk because it matters. You can get into your opponent's head. And there were a lot of great trash talkers in UFC history. You can think about Conor McGregor. Chael Sonnen is my personal favorite trash talker. Dominic Cruz, super underrated. But the fighter that we are going with, and you cannot deny him at this point that he is the best trash talker of all time, because of my second point on the screen over here, Dricus du Plessis. He is the only fighter in MMA history to have a cry streak, where he made his opponents cry because of the trash talk. You're talking about some of the most tough people in the entire world. You're talking about some of the scariest people in the world. Some of the most confident people in the entire world. Dricus du Plessis made them cry. How could you argue with that? If you can make your opponent cry and come in that emotional into a fight, that's the trash talk that I want. It is always blunt, raw, and real. It always gets personal. How could you not say that he's the greatest trash talker in UFC history? You can't. You can't. He's not the most creative, but man, he does it. He does the job. Now let's talk about durability. Not just chin, durability, the entire package. There were a lot of fighters that you can pick from, but one stood out to me. One stood out above the rest, and that is Yoel Romero. Still doing it at his age, by the way. He never flinches at the biggest shots. It's like you can whale him. It's like you could hit this guy with a bat, and I feel like he would just go like, you know, making the faces in the octagon. He doesn't. It's not like you hit him and it's like, ooh, he just got hit with a huge shot. Huge shot by Robert Whittaker, whoever he's fighting, right? It's not like that happens. It's not like, ooh, that snapped his head back. He doesn't flinch. And like my other points over here, he's never even been close to finish, and the dude is a superhuman athlete. I know there's probably PEDs there, but again, we're ignoring that for this type of video. How could you not go with Yoel Romero for durability? At least the fighters that you know are super durable, they've been knocked down. They've at least like had moments where it's like, Oh, that shot might have affected him a little bit. That was a good shot they caught Max Holloway with. Nope, not Yoel Romero. He just walks forward. It's like, I swear, sometimes it's like you can hit this guy. I know, part of me questions it, but it's like you can hit this guy in the back of the head with a bat, and he just like, he doesn't move forward. It's just like, and he just go about his day. Yoel Romero, there is no question about durability in my opinion. Now let's talk about recovery. When something bad happens, how well can you adjust? How well can you recover? We're circling back over to Charles Oliveira. A little bit like we talked about with the adaptability, he can recover during any sort of chaos. He is arguably one of the most dangerous fighters in UFC history after you knock him down. You knock him down, this guy gets up and he's like, all right, I'm about to fight harder. If plan A fails, plan B for Charles Oliveira is violence. He always has the dangerous BJJ. If you knock this guy down, you get on top of him, you still have to worry. And any bad moment, he can turn into a finish. If you get overexcited to start punching this guy once you knock him down, he will submit you. He'll transition to your back. He does a great job doing so. Recovery is absolutely Charles Oliveira, in my opinion. Now let's continue on to killer instinct. What fighter has the most killer instinct? When it's time to like turn it on and knock somebody out, who would you give that to? I thought about Francis Ngannou. I did not do Francis Ngannou. I ended up going with Robbie Lawler. Okay? There is no guy that turns it up a notch like Robbie Lawler. He is cold. He is methodical. He is violent with no hesitation. He's like, all right, I think I'm going to go finish this fight now. And you know what? As time goes on, I could see that being Gene Silva. I could. But he's still, while I am convinced of him, Robbie Lawler has done it for so long. We'll revisit this in time, guys, in a few years' time. Maybe we will switch this one over to Gene Silva, but for now, we're picking Robbie Lawler. He is precise with his attacks. He is relentless with his attacks. And it doesn't matter if his hands they're down, if he's walking you down, it's time to scrap, and he forces it upon you. He wants to finish you, and he is doing everything in his power to do so. And like I said, he has more heart than arguably anybody in the UFC. When Robbie Lawler wants to scrap, it's time to scrap. And I'm sorry if you can hear my phone. My mom's messaging me. But there's really no question about it, in my opinion, Robbie Lawler with the killer instinct. But let's talk about, again, circling back to, like I said, I almost chose Francis Ngannou. Something that I did choose him for is power. I didn't think twice about it. Francis Ngannou is the hardest puncher of all time. Doesn't matter if he's technical. He can throw technical. But if it's just like one giant like overhand right or giant underhand uppercut with zero technique, if he's just swinging, you're going out. He has KO power from any position. He can KO you on the ground. He can KO you on the feet. All he has to do is swing his arm. The power is unreal for Francis Ngannou and unlike anything that we've ever seen. Now let's talk about cardio. Unfortunately, it's nothing that is too crazy of a choice over here. Like power of Francis Ngannou. Yeah, duh. Cardio, Merab. What is there to say? He's relentless with both of his pressure and his takedowns. He doesn't get tired and he can spam takedowns, whether he gets them, whether he fails, whether he's constantly grabbing you. He just doesn't shop. The Machine is the perfect nickname for Merab Dvalishvili. He weaponizes cardio against the best. He weaponized cardio against Petr Yan. He weaponized cardio against Umar Nurmagomedov. He weaponizes cardio against fighters with already outstanding cardio. And they all suffer. They all suffer. They all crumble down to Merab Dvalishvili and his cardio. And he does this in the greatest and most stacked UFC and MMA division of all time. He is doing this against the best fighters, period. The top talent. And they all suffer under Merab's cardio. They all suffer under his pressure. And he never stops going for 25 minutes. You don't see Merab taking a break. It's all right. We're going to break you. Work, 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 work. So let's talk about athleticism. This one I had a few options for, but I wanted to circle back to Alexander Volkanovski. And again, there were a few choices, and if you do disagree with me down below, I would totally hear you out on that, okay? Alexander Volkanovski, he already has, and my point over here, he has insane strength to weight ratio. He goes up in weight. He is out-wrestling Islam Makhachev. He is, like, it looks like he's just as strong, if not stronger. He, of course, was a 215-pound former rugby forward. That's probably where a lot of it comes from. But he's a small guy, but he's a powerhouse. But it's not even just about power. He has the reaction time. He has the cardio. He can do anything. He can throw a head kick. He can scramble. He can bend himself in jiu-jitsu positions. The dude's the perfect athlete. Alexander Volkanovski. He does it in multiple divisions. He is the perfect athlete, and athleticism is going to Alexander Volkanovski for me. Although, like I said, there were different options that I wanted to go with. Let's talk about flexibility. When your fighter's flexible, what do you want to like kind of get from it? I kind of thought about Brian Ortega, to be honest with you, because sometimes you see this guy, like, the way his back is bending, where it's like, oh my God, you're really going for that choke, eh? I thought about it. But then I thought a little bit more, and I went with Tony Ferguson. The weird things that you've seen this guy do in fights was my decision on this choice, okay? From any angle, the dude can throw up an armbar, a triangle, no matter where it be, and he has the exact same energy in the strikes. All of a sudden, it's a cartwheel kick. All of a sudden, he's spinning around and his body's like all twisted and he's making it work. It's not just like, okay, the dude's flexible. No, he's making it work. No matter what position you're in, he can scramble and he can escape. He can just bend his body in a certain way. I know we're talking, like, when we're talking about the later half of Tony Ferguson's career, I get it, okay? But prime Tony Ferguson, good luck getting a hold of this guy. You can't. It's impossible. No matter if he's up against the fence, all of a sudden, okay, Tony Ferguson's throwing a head kick. The dude can do it all when it comes to flexibility, and he has absolutely the amount of flexibility that I would want in my fighter, okay? Let's continue on, though, to height and reach. I almost went with Alexander Volkov, but shockingly, he does not have the reach that John Jones has. He's 6'4" with an 84.5-inch reach. John Jones also uses that range and height perfectly, like we talked about already with John Jones with his octagon control. The dude is always at the perfect range. He knows exactly where to place himself in order to throw strikes. Just for existing at John Jones's range, you're paying, whether it's the eye pokes, whether it's the front kicks, or whether it's teeps, whether it is just him throwing a jab. John Jones uses his height and reach perfectly, and he always uses that octagon control that we talked about to keep his opponents at bay at the end of each shot. That was also a no-brainer for me. Here's one that I thought about, though, okay? Explosiveness. There are a lot of explosive fighters in UFC history, but there was one that I think is an underrated pick, and I'd love to know what you guys think about this one, okay? For explosiveness, we are going with Tyron Woodley. Do you remember what it was like watching Prime Woodley and how he could explode? He covered, my points are accurate over here, he covered distance in an instant. And not just like, okay, he's fast. No, like he's knocking you out. He's throwing bombs. He brought the explosiveness to the table. He's fast, powerful, decisive. He has the ability to explode through people's offense too. You're throwing a 1-2 combination. No, Tyron Woodley's throwing his straight right. He's throwing his leg kick. The dude was an animal and he was scary to fight up against. And like I'm talking like I have any experience, but you know what I'm talking about when we're talking about watching Tyron Woodley. His explosive ability in his prime might just be the best in MMA history. And I'd love to know what you guys think about that one down below. Explosiveness is absolutely going to Tyron Woodley. Let's talk about heart. There are a lot of fighters when it comes to heart. You could have guys like Dustin Poirier. You could even have guys like Jose Aldo. There are a lot of fighters that really brought a lot of heart to the table. Carlos Condit. And that's just scratching the surface. There are a ton of fighters with a great amount of heart, right? But there was one that stood out. There was. And we are circling back over to Robbie Lawler. What he does in the 5th round was the deciding factor in a championship fight, going through some of the most brutal wars you will ever see in the UFC. Think about the Rory McDonald fight. Think about what his lip looked like, how much pain he must have been in, how much damage he took into that fight. 5th round, time to turn it on. It's time. Like I have the point over here. In the 5th round, it's like he turns primal. His coach tells him, hey, you need to win this fight. All right, I'm going out to win this fight. Look what he did to Carlos Condit. Look what he did to Johnny Hendricks. He has people running from him. He walks forward with his hands down. Time to go. Let's go. Robbie Lawler, I believe to have the best heart in the entirety of the UFC. No matter the damage that he's taken, he's still fighting hard. No matter how wrung his bell is, no matter if his lip is literally coming off of his body. I almost think there was an ear injury at one point that Robbie Lawler had. Is when we're comparing him to other fighters, he has all of the proven wars, and no matter how exhausted he is, he pushes through it. You can tell that he's breathing heavy, and you can tell by the time that round's over, with the way that he's like, he just sometimes collapses, hands on the fence no matter what, and whether he's just doing this, trying to get any extra oxygen that he could possibly get, you know that he emptied the tank, and he did everything that he could. Even if he has 0 left in the tank, he forces his body to work. Not only work, he forces his body to perform. It's almost like he turns primal. There is no question that the heart is going to Robbie Lawler. There's a lot of fighters with great heart, but I would want the heart of Robbie Lawler if I was a fighter. Now, let's talk about one other thing, guys. I want that a little bit of a bonus, okay? Let's talk about coach, okay? What coach do you want? I think it's important when we're talking about building the perfect fighter, the guy you want behind you. I'm sure I'm going to get disagreements with this, but we are going with Duke Rufus. There is one big reason for it, okay? Of course, he's a former kickboxing champion. He's coached many accomplished fighters, and he's invested both technically and emotionally. But the reason that I really, really like this guy is he protects his fighters. When it's time for your fighter to be saved, whether they need to be saved for themselves or not, when it's time, like, okay, you can't fight Anthony Pettis, you broke your hand. He's a guy that will throw in the towel. If we're building the perfect fighter, we need longevity, and he will protect his fighters. Of course, he could go with somebody like Trevor Whitman, who's great. There's a lot of great coaches out there, to be honest with you. But I would want the guy who would look out for me as a person. He's a great game planner. He is a great coach in general. He'll tell you what you need to hear. But it really stands out when you have a guy who protects his fighters and really cares about them. I appreciate Duke Rufus, and I really, really love it when obviously we're disappointed when fights end up getting called. And it's not like he does that all the time. It's just, I can think of a couple notable examples where it's like, oh, that was so hype. He protects his fighters. That is the guy that I would want behind me. And with the coaching part of this fighter, that is the entirety of the fighter that we have for you today, guys. We just built the perfect fighter, in my opinion. I would love to hear what you think about it in the comment section down below. But the fighter talk does not have to end there, because we also recently made a video talking about the most underappreciated fighters in the UFC, and I would love for you to check out this video. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. Take care.